Welcome to Onesies, a podcast of one season wonders and blunders. My name's Andrew.
And my name is Emily.
And I really wish I had thought of a more Dracula specific one, a podcast of suffering. The Children of the Night, what music they make. We are on episode
18.
18. We have watched 18 times 22 divided by 60. We've watched a lot of Dracula series.
Mm-hmm.
This episode is I Love Lucard, which is directed by Alan Croker, which we should remember because he sucks. He's the worst director on this show. And that's a bold statement. But he is the worst director on this show. It does not reference I Love Lucy, except maybe in the title. Okay. So, what are your three things?
Oh gosh, do I have three things? I got a cycle, death by publicity, and some Family Channel shit. How about that?
Okay, let's see. I forgot to look that up, but I might still use it. Okay. Gustav the Teacher, Sophisticated of the Breed, and 2 Stephen King novels a week.
I thought that was funny.
Yes, even though this episode's bad, the writing, like, it's got some edge to it. Like, it has repeated digs, and you're just like, it's a pretty bold swing for Dracula's series. Like, I mean, cool, but wow, dude, like, where do you think you work?
Yeah.
Okay, so it opens with, for some reason, the end of Casablanca, only with Chris as Bogey saying goodbye to Bergman, played by Mia Kirshner. Now, she had mentioned the end of Casablanca in the previous episode. I don't think this actually is out of order, though. Like, Lucard's hair is appropriate for this point in the season.
Yeah. It's sad when you have to judge the place in the season by a character's hair and not by character development or story or anything like that. You have to go by visual cues.
I mean, it was the year 1990 or 1991 at this point. There wasn't a lot of shows that had continuity between episodes. I mean,
fair enough.
You have to, just it's not some highbrow show like LA Law. That would be a fun podcast. It's too bad it's so long. Your face also did not. You also did not have the fond memories that I clearly.
I don't. I was a baby.
So was I. You were supposed to watch it when you were too young. It taught you about the world, Emily.
Oh.
Anyway.
I used V.C. Andrews novels to teach you about the world. Oh, continue.
I always wanted to adopt a little brother or whatever. Okay, anyway. So, yeah, it's the end of Casablanca. Gustav is in for Paul Henrid, which is weird.
It was weird, but it's the best acting we've got out of him in the whole series, where he doesn't say a word. He just sort of stands there looking awkwardly at the teens. And Chris is doing a Bogey impression, which is terrible, but every Bogey impression is terrible. Like, there's no such thing as a
Mia
Kirshner, like, it's like, so Max, well, never mind. Continue.
Okay, well, yes, we have to get to, there's something about baseball cards.
What does he give her? What does he give her? Papers to get back into Europe or something in Casablanca? But this is just baseball cards?
Yeah, this is just baseball cards. And Lucard shows up dressed as a Nazi. He wants the baseball cards, but then Chris stabs him. Happy ending. Cut to the living room where we learn this is Max's latest novel. And he is reading it to our special guest stars. Lance Burton, played by Andrew Giles, and his wife, Margot, played by Kate Trotter.
Mm-hmm.
She's really bad.
Yeah.
From this scene, I was like, wow, she's really bad. I hope she's not in it very much. She's in it a lot. She's really bad every time. But she was
in many, many episodes of Kung Fu the Legend Continues. I can't find exactly how many because I'm not on it, but
is she the one who was married to David Carradine? She might have been married. Didn't we look this up last week? I don't know. I've never seen Kung Fu: The Legend Continues. Okay.
A lot of Canadian shows too, but 25
Well,
episodes of Kung Fu: The Legend Continues.
practically irregular. I bet she's bad on that too. So, so it's initially it seems like I was confused because like is Max telling them that vampires are real? But then I was like, no, it's just a story. It could just be some like I just know how stupid it is because I'm familiar with the context. Like these people who were just listening to Casablanca with baseball cards and vampire Nazis, they could just think it's that. They don't
Yeah.
know
He
how
did
additionally stupid.
he created the mashup of Dracula and Casablanca. I'd love to see the Dracula I Love Lucy mashup, but you
We
know,
didn't get that.
as promised, but whatever. Got to deal with this garbage instead. This weird melodrama that ends very quickly, but it highlighted Mia Kirshner. She's a young actress, just like Chris, just like Max. She's terrible in that scene, but she's doing this weird melodrama thing. And the dialogue is terrible, but it's written by a 10-year-old boy, right?
I mean, no, it's not written by a 10-year-old boy. It's written by a
But it's supposed to be. It's presented as
62-year-old Canadian man or something. Like,
it's
yes,
presented as if it's written by a 10-year-old boy.
I'm sure that is a compliment to him. He's glad to know that we believe that he's a terrible 10-year-old boy writer. But then we find out that Gustav's friend, the novelist, Mr. Burton, has written a novel about the eternal war between man and vampire. And this gets interrupted by your first point. Got a cycle.
So, Mr. Lance Burton got Max a meeting with his publisher, and it's let me check my watch really quickly. 12 minutes from now, I got a cycle. So Max is in his home. Presumably, he has to bike across town to meet with some publisher somewhere in 12 minutes. Somebody needs to teach him you have to arrive at least 15 minutes early for a meeting and not show up last minute, especially on a bike. Have Uncle Gustav rent you a limo. Show up in a limo.
I just don't know how things are done in Luxembourg.
I guess not. But this is the first time we've had mention of a bike, even though we don't see the bike. Oh, we see the bike later at the end, but there have been so many biking scenes. I was hoping for more bike.
No, no, there's not. Oh, God. Okay. I just remembered where it comes in at the end.
I got a cycle. I thought it was funny. It was kind of cute. And then he dashes
This is
away.
a cuter Max. We are in the period where Max is not as obnoxious as he was at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely
so
mellowed.
Yeah. But then we hear about how this is where we hear that Gustav used to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to lecture on the dangers of vampires, which this one guy believed, and apparently nobody else did.
Well, no, we've met some previous students before.
The guy who tried to kill him, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was another guy who got better grades than the guy, got a letter of recommendation to go on to do something else, remember?
That's right.
So there's more.
Did he tell all of them about vampires?
Yeah. Well, remember the guy found the magic potion that takes vampirism away.
I'm just trying to understand the university that was like, so that fucking Gustav guy's down the hall talking about vampires again.
Yeah, what did he teach? What was he teaching? Like, what was his subject area, his specialty? What department did he work for? What was the class called? What level was the class at? These are the questions I want to know about this universe.
So the novelist has spent years digging for evidence that vampires are real and among us, including a certain European billionaire. This also, back to Gustav the teacher, means that his lectures didn't include any proof.
Right.
Or proofs. He just was talking about vampires during his university lecturing gig. Okay. The wife doesn't believe in vampires in the 21st century.
She sits on his lap and like plays with his hair or something really creepily, even though they're married.
You don't do that? You should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a few hours.
So then, Yeah, and old boy knows that not Burton knows that Dracula and Lucard are the same person.
Yeah. Oh, what else do I have? Um, at some point during this conversation, Gustav says something like, I haven't thought about vampires for years and years.
Yeah,
So
he was clearly lying.
clearly lying, clearly. But why? What is his motive for lying?
To add 30 seconds to fill
Okay.
30 seconds of the 20 of the 19 and a half minutes of the episode.
Okay. Because it just makes no sense. It's like clearly this guy knows about vampires, Gustav, and your former student is putting himself in danger. You would think you wouldn't lie and you would make them aware that there's a very real danger for your student and not just let them go bumbling around. I don't know. I just thought the lie was unnecessary and weird.
Okay. Then we get to our subplot, which is Max and the novel.
Hmm.
He gets home to find Gustav bitching about doing his taxes, which I found interesting as well because I'm like, what is Gustav's income?
Yeah. How does he make money?
The publisher has really liked Max's manuscript. They got to page 3 and were like, we're buying this. Pin in that. But yeah, Max is like, I'm gonna be rich and successful. I'm gonna
How much money did novelists make?
I mean in 1990, more than they make now. From
Hmm.
their Luxembourg boutique press.
Hmm.
He thinks he's gonna even make it onto TV Guide.
And Arsenio.
And Arsenio. I was saving the Arsenio.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was funny. I love a reference to
Because and
Arsenio.
now we have Chris going, wouldn't you like to have a guitar player? Don't you want to have a guitar player?
Yeah, and I had written down Chris is being nice, question mark, and then I was like, oh, nope. Because all he's trying to do is worm his way into Max's fortune.
So upstairs, Chris starts offering Max financial advice, or he says, maybe you need some financial advice. You should ask someone older, wiser, and mature. And he's like, Uncle Gustav's no good at taxes. You've seen him.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm talking about me. I think you need to promote a teen idol. Somebody like smoking Chris Townsend.
Gross. But also, you neglected to mention it's like you need to start a record company, promote the hell out of some young teen idol. And it's like, how much money do you think he's going to be making here? Like, starting a record company, I would think would be very expensive. And then throwing more money at promoting some shitty guitar player, somebody nobody's ever heard of, seems quite risky. Maybe Chris needs to go back to his business school and learn about how to handle money because that seems pretty risky. I hate to be practical.
We'll get to come back to that subject after this next scene, which is the novelist coming back to say, okay, so my book's going to be out in a matter of weeks. They loved it.
Because that's how it works.
That's it. Hold on. But Max took my manuscript by mistake and I took his. So Gustav's like, well, I'll have to tell him he's not going to be a published author.
Yeah.
That means 3 pages into Dude's book, they were like, we want this.
Yeah.
What happened in those first 3 pages of Dude's vampire review?
I mean, he's just that good. He's just
Okay.
that good.
I'm just going to say, I don't think if you sent anonymized novel submissions for incredibly popular authors, like nobody's going to pick up. You can't go to a publisher with, I don't know, James Patterson without James Patterson's name on it and have somebody go, wow, this is good. We should fucking publish this.
But also the nature of the book is confusing to me because he's naming names, including the rich European billionaire. But it's a novel? A novel is fiction. What he seems to be telling us his book is about his nonfiction.
Yes.
So I don't understand. And you would think if you are outing a billionaire, there would need to be some legal matters dealt with before you could publish it, so you couldn't get it out that quickly. Maybe I'm mistaken about the publishing process, but you can't just go around and say Elon Musk is a vampire
I mean, you
without
can't.
him
Vampires aren't real, so you can't.
without him suing you.
I mean, I guess
Somebody petty like that? Are you kidding me?
Alexander Lucard's not as petty
That's
as
true.
Elon Musk.
That's true. And we had that conversation before where he talked about Bram Stoker writing the novel and how it actually worked in his
Helped.
favor. Yeah.
Yes.
Because it fictionalized vampires. I don't know.
This is confusing. Well, then does that mean that the publisher thought it was a novel when it was by Max, but thought it was nonfiction when it was by Dude?
I have no idea.
So, okay. It's an irreplaceable manuscript, it turns out, to which the novelist says, yes, that's right. No computers or Xerox machines for Boyo. And I thought it was interesting to see somebody refer to themselves as Boyo.
Yeah, somebody with an English accent?
Yeah. So the wife's acting a little weird. And then
Mm-hmm.
she's like, I'm going to go work on a literary form of my own. I'm going to go write a postcard. And then she goes upstairs.
Maybe they're staying with Gustav. We don't know how many rooms are in that house. It's a big house.
Okay. And then when she's gone, the author tells Gustav he's accepted Lucard's invitation to dinner. And
Mm-hmm.
Gustav's like, that's not a good idea, dude. And Dude's like, but I want to do something good with my life. I want to do something to push back on the darkness. Henry Kissinger's still alive. Just saying. Okay, so, and this is where my note of bad direction comes in. I don't even remember what it was at this point. But all caps, bad direction. Cut to Max and Sophie. This is the first time we've ever seen Sophie be like this to Max.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's creepy. We know where she learned it. She learned it from every fucking 35-year-old on this show who's been creepy to her, which at this point is 4 of them.
Something like
But
that.
she's like, hey, Max, I was just thinking now that you're rich and famous, you should start a foundation that gives out art grants, like music grants.
Again, how much money do they think he is going to get? You don't just start a foundation with a $30,000 check for a book. I don't know how much people make on books.
She needs a viola.
If all you need is a viola, just be like, hey, Max, remember when you smashed the shit out of my viola? Replace it. Replace that shit. Get a fucking paper route.
Your mother makes $500,000 a year in 1990.
Yeah.
She can afford to buy me a viola.
Yeah.
Why is she got us all shacked up here with this creepy dude that she calls her brother, but isn't, or whatever? Like,
yeah.
Uncle Gustav, yeah.
And I had said, money fucks these kids up. Money done fuck these kids up. They are really.
But this is it for Sophie and Chris. They're out of the episode, right?
Yeah, yep.
So the scene ends very awkwardly with Max saying that he'll put the viola on his wish list.
Mm-hmm.
Then he clears his throat and the scene cuts. But it seemed like there was something after he cleared his throat.
Yeah, there should have been.
It's just over. We then cut to Lucard and the novelist having dinner, or talking. Lucard offers him a deal. Burton says, I decline in advance. And so then they says, I'll let you live if you don't publish it, or destroy you to stop you. And Burton's like, can I call you Dracula? To which Lucard responds, all my friends do, which is not true.
Mm-hmm.
We've never seen anybody call him Dracula.
Until last episode, I think.
Like Klaus sure didn't. They have really not been calling him Dracula during this thing. Like, when 1990, I mean, Dracula wasn't in the public domain at some point, right? Like,
yeah.
So Lucard's like, so what do you want then, man? And Burton's like, I just want to be here to see this story climax. At the climax of the story, this book is going to kill you in public. Death by publicity.
Death by publicity. Ciao. And in my mind, I was like, I again went back to the previous thing, what I already mentioned, where Bram Stoker wrote the book and it was actually good for Dracula. So I don't understand how this book is going to kill him by publicity. But Lucard seems scared. He seems legitimately frightened. And he's obviously willing to pay the guy off and willing to do all this stuff. So I don't really understand the whole continuity. I just don't get it.
Burton leaves. Then we reveal his wife has been standing in the shadows the whole time.
Yeah, of course. Of course she
which
has.
he didn't notice.
Yeah.
But then we get Lucard saying something about the man you married instead of me. A long ass cut before we go to dinner where they're drinking wine.
Did you notice, is his table coffin shaped?
I didn't notice.
It looks like a coffin shaped table. If you rewatch the episode ever, or if they ever happen to have used the same set piece again, it looks like a coffin shaped table. And they're sitting, what, 15 feet away from each other? It's pretty far away, I thought, for a seemingly romantic dinner.
Batman.
Mm.
Batman gag.
You think they're doing bits? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're doing a Batman movie bit.
Oh.
I think they're doing Bruce and Vicky sitting far apart. I don't think so. Okay. Now we get their backstory. Yeah. They were in New York together. He was never more human until she left him, and he was in love with her. Intoxicating memory. And Jordy's like at 11 here, and I'm like, dude, you're putting in a lot of work when she's terrible.
She's doing nothing. Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. I'm like, I don't believe any of this, Jordy. Like, no. Like, if this is who you were in love with, like,
well,
you deserve
it comes along. It comes around later to your point, which we can talk about more. But yeah, she's not really giving a lot. So they were in love. She had to leave because she found out what he was, i.e., a vampire, and how could she live with a vampire? And I had to like block the screen. I felt like a little kid, like, ew, cooties, when they kiss at the end of the scene. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I shouldn't be watching this. It's like they both have their mouths open and they're just like eating each other's faces for a second. Like, it's really weird. Ugh. Screen kissing Jordy Johnson. Gross.
This is where the sophisticated of the breed comes in.
Uh-huh.
She's like, I can't be with you. You're a vampire. And he's like, I think we can agree, my dear. I'm one of the more sophisticated of the breed, exceeding my nature. And I'm like, yeah, but we haven't established well that you don't have to be a bad vampire.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that type of thing. It's yes, there's the bloodlust, but we've established that you can feed on animals. Like, you don't have to do this. It's all of this is a choice. But he also says he never would have turned her, which is...
So this is the Doctor Who conundrum, right? This is like Tennant and Rose. They can't be together because she's going to die and he can't watch her die, right? But Geordie's perfectly fine watching this woman die.
So then we get this lengthy thing about how this is the Casablanca thing, only it's shitty. And if you wanted to do this as a Casablanca now, there are much better ways to do the scene than over dinner.
Yeah.
But also, blah, blah, blah. You're a finished product, Dracula. You don't need me. Dude needs me to achieve his dream, which is...
really problematic. And it made me feel very icky. Yeah, when she said that, it was like, I mean, I get like him being a finished product, but like being with somebody because they need you.
That's what ladies are for. You're there to enable your husband's success.
You heard it here, folks. Andrew uses his wife to enable his own success and expects other women to do the same for their husbands or partners. I'm not cutting it.
Fine, don't cut it. I just don't have anything prepared, but we've got some more to go, and I will think of something to say before the end. I had to tell Emily not to buy a blue check mark on Twitter. There.
Oh, God. Yeah, right.
Can you fucking imagine? Oh my God. Jesus. Okay.
I'll get you one for your birthday.
I don't think you can gift them.
I can't gift them? Oh, come on.
I'm pretty sure you can't. But if you do want to buy an enterprise license, you just put your credit card number in on a Google sheet, apparently. Oh, God. When is he just gonna put the USB port in his brain and fucking die? Like, just die on the operating table. It's gonna be so great. Like, oh, just the rest of my life with people convinced he lives on the internet. They like program Chat GPT to talk like Elon Musk. Oh, fucking. Anyway, okay. So, I'll give you his manuscript.
Yeah, so they're making a deal.
Yes.
She wants to take her husband's manuscript and give it to Lucard in exchange for his life, her husband's life.
So yes, she is willing to give him the manuscript, but because there's only the one copy, we've established that there aren't. He
Right.
doesn't have it backed up. He
Yeah.
didn't photocopy it because he writes one manuscript and it's perfect. That's how writing works. That is a funny idea. I wonder if Dracula the series they had revisions on the scripts. It's a Canadian show, so they also wouldn't be in the Writers Guild.
That's right. Do they have their own writers guild?
I don't know. Just think about how bad most of the shit that's registered with the Canadian writers. What? Don't make that face. You know how Canadian shows are. Okay. They've gotten better. They've gotten better. Sorry, everyone. Like when people told me Schitt's Creek was Canadian, I'm like, I'm not watching it. I don't fucking care what you say. And they're like, no, it's not like that. And then, that Kim's, yes. It's not the same thing anymore. Anyway, Lucard's like, well, I want you as well. I'm not just gonna. I need the lady too. And so
I'm not going to let you go when I have you so close.
Lucard has to give her his word from the bottom of his soul, which I thought was an interesting
choice of words because he's a vampire. I mean, he hasn't literally sold his soul to Satan or anything, but like it's a little dark. His soul is a little dark.
Then they have their big kiss, which I also wrote down. That he's got a denial kink thing going on because they never can. They're very limited in what they can do, and he can only get so excited, and then he's just got to deny all of his passions. It's very weird.
Yeah, it's very strange.
We haven't seen that really from Lucard in the past. Okay, so then back home, Max is there. And this is when Gustav talks to him about it?
Yeah, so they have this little Family Channel moment where you've seen Twin Peaks, the original too.
Yeah.
So you remember how like there was this whole like soap opera thing that was happening on TV that like I thought was going to somehow play into the plot of Twin Peaks, and it sometimes did and it sometimes didn't. But there were like these very bad TV soap opera moments in the show. That's what this is. This is like a weird soap opera moment in the show that just came out of nowhere. It's never had this element of it before, where there's like sappy music playing and Gustav's got his arm around Max and it's like, oh, it's time to grow. What does he say? Like, well, maybe you can save your bike for another, like your new bike hunting for another day because you need to grow up today. And
the hard way.
And tells him that his book is not actually going to be published, that it was an accident, shows him the letter from the publisher. And he storms out of the room. Max storms out of the room, kind of upset. And Gustav follows into the living room. And it looks like you have something to add.
Yes. I was like, okay, so Max ran out of the room and ran downstairs to sit down in the chair to huff. I'm just like, okay, so we can have the other half of the scene now instead of having to wait.
Yeah.
But yes, and so there's the music, and Max is whining about how everybody's going to laugh at him behind his back.
Yeah.
Or in front of him.
Or in
like
front
Chris
of him.
would. And I'm like...
I was so sad for him in that moment.
Well, also, I would also think that Sophie would have to do some self-examination about throwing herself at a 12-year-old for a viola.
10. He's 10. It's in this where he says, I'm going to be the first 10-year-old novelist.
Right. First 10-year-old novelist.
Yeah.
So they were more embarrassing than he was. And then this is where Gustav gets in a dig about how, like, oh, if you're Stephen King, you can write 2 novels a week. Oh, zing! And I was just like, I don't know if you get to zing. Like, I don't have anything nice to say about Stephen King, but you don't get to zing it. Like, you're Dracula the series.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
there's punching up, and then there's like whatever this was. So then we get a "Don't be a quitter, Max," to which Max is like, "I'm not a quitter. I'm gonna get some pointers from Lance Burton."
Yeah.
Cut to the two of them at an airfield
In a taxi.
in a taxi with Max's bike in the guy's taxi trunk. Very weird scene. We're back to our boffin leading the town pervert around scenes for Max here. It's just like, what is going on with this? Gustav should stop letting people hang out with his 10-year-old ward.
Yeah.
So
what I really loved about this is how the dialogue starts with, and that's how you write a novel. Like, it seems like you're walking in on the punchline of a joke that you don't understand because you didn't hear the joke. And that's how you write a novel. You just need 10 more years of experience writing. It was so silly. But it was cute. I like this, you know, I know you think it's creepy, but I kind of like this, like, we're having kind of a father-son relationship.
A mentorship thing is fine.
Yeah.
The setup with the bike is weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
This is not a healthy way for 10-year-olds to interact with adults.
But why also would you drop a kid off at an airfield with a bike? Like,
yeah. Why did they? How did this work? They went over to see him, and the guy's like, "Okay, yeah, I'll tell you about this. Let's ride over in my cab together, and I'll bring your bike along." Why wouldn't you just send Max home in the cab?
In the cab.
You cheapskate.
You just sold a novel, asshole. Spend $5 sending the kid back home. Well, maybe he took his bike over to the house. Well, I guess he could have left it at the house. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
So we get to the Burton goes to the airfield, to the plane. He's sorry he's late. His wife's there, but she's not going. And then Lucard shows up in a sports car, which again, I think is the first time we've seen him drive, isn't it?
I think it is. But again, he doesn't have a plane ticket or anything. He's just driving up to the airplane.
Yes. It's 1991.
It's so weird. And I don't know if you noticed this. I've never seen this before on a car. The door went down like a window that he stepped out of. I never noticed that before. I've never seen that. I'm gonna have to look that up.
That's pretty flashy.
It's pretty flashy.
Lucard Motors. Yeah, I mean, this just took place before 9/11, Emily. You could just take a fucking bomb on a plane and just be like, "What? It's my plastic explosives." And they're just like, "Okay, it's fine. You're white. Like, it'll be fine."
Well, and I guess he is rich and he maybe has a private jet there somewhere. So they're probably used to seeing him around, but I don't know how whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The logistics don't matter because this is the end of the episode. Oh, kind of the end of the episode.
Almost. We got a bit to go. Lucard then interrupts the married couple's discussion by saying, "Don't ask her any questions. You won't hear any lies."
Yeah.
And
he's wearing all black. He's kind of an attractive guy, but in this like black turtleneck, black blazer, black pants thing, it didn't work for me. I wasn't feeling it. And his hair's too poofy. It's like really poofy in this one.
So Lucard jokingly threatens the wife, we think.
Yeah.
And then author's like, "You're not fooling anyone.
You don't have any powers during the daytime."
And I was like, "Really? Do we know that?" And then he's like, "I can just snap her neck."
Yeah. He's like, I don't have to turn her into a vampire. I can just snap her neck and kill her right here at the airport in front of all these people.
It'll be fine. So then we start getting to the Casablanca thing where Lucard's
like, "Oh, I can see that he needs you. You know, I've never needed anyone before, and I don't want to find out now what it's like to need somebody.
I never thought I needed anyone to complete me."
Yes.
To which she says, "You might be wrong." And he's like, "I don't want to know."
Yeah.
And I was just like, Jerry Maguire, eat your fucking heart out. Eat your heart out.
This end scene I didn't actually mind, even though it was like blatantly ripping off Casablanca.
Yeah.
but I think it's pulled off fairly well.
Yeah. He,
There's no, yeah. I almost quoted a different movie. Sorry.
but he gives the guy his manuscript back and he's
Yep.
like, publish it and be done with it.
Yeah. Good luck.
And then, well, that also raises another question of dude is leaving his publisher with the manuscript.
Yeah.
They're going to make the book,
but he's only got one.
book
That he's only got the one manuscript, and it's in
that he's got
car that he's just giving to him before he gets on the plane to leave. Yeah.
There needs to be a subplot about the missing manuscript at the very least. Then Max shows up on his bike at the last minute.
I thought it was adorable, where he's like, Max Townsend, vampire hunter, here to save the day. I thought it was really cute. And Lance is like, that's great, Max. We're happy to see you. We're happy he's here, but we don't need you now. Like, things have worked themselves out. But there's no question that Max knows that Lucard is a vampire. There's like nothing.
I forgot about that too.
Because at this point, we don't know that Lucard, that Max, that Gustav, that Lance doesn't know that they know that Lucard's a vampire.
Yep.
I don't think. Well, I guess Gustav kind of talks about it, but whatever.
So then they're just goodbye.
There's another reference to Casablanca. Is this the beginning of a beautiful friendship? Lucard asks Max, and Max like, you got to be kidding me. That was kind of funny.
That was funny because Lucard acknowledges it, nods. He's like, yeah. I'm kidding you. Like,
and then there's this. I know you think the directing is terrible on this one, but there's this beautiful piece of directing or editing where they flash to Max turning away. They flash back to Gustav just as he's turning his head, and the wife is at the top of the stairs on the plane, and they cut to her looking back at Lucard. I thought it was kind of nice. I thought that this last bit was nice.
This last bit was nice. My note for this is dumb but better ?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Then plot twist. I love this ending. I wish he did this constantly. This really got me revved up. I was so excited about this.
It's Lucard moping in front of his fireplace.
Yeah.
One of his zombies brings him some wine. And we're not paying enough attention, or I wasn't initially, but there are 2 glasses on the tray.
Yeah, I didn't. I know.
And Lucard waxes poetic. I was going to Google to see if he was quoting something.
It's not. I did Google.
Many are the ways of love. Surprising are their ends. Alone. What else will happen to me alone on this further side of life? I'm like, this is
good writing.
Flex. I'm like, this is a weird, kind of cool flex for this show. Like,
which is why I thought they were quoting something.
Yeah. I can't believe it. I mean, did you check, what is it, Google Books or just Google?
Just Google. Or whatever that teacher website is that teachers check to see if people are stealing.
Okay. So, and then he says, it's a small play, being alone on this further side of life is a small price to pay for this splendor.
Mm-hmm.
And then he reveals that he crashed the plane.
So he talks about the kind of chemical elements that are combined to create gasoline and how just the smallest modification will completely damage the plane. And that like, about an hour into flight, that should be about the time when this happens. And it's like, holy shit, he killed them. I wrote, holy shit, he crashed the fucking plane. It was so cool. I love this.
Then he drops one of the wine glasses, presumably Margot's wine glass, and then he smashes his own.
Yeah.
And we get a forced perspective shot. And some more of the music, but it was a weird, like, this is the thing this show's never been. It's never actually been about Dracula.
Yeah.
In the late 20th century, playing Wall Street, the movie, but now it is, and that's better than what it was. Like, there are they still need to kill Chris, Sophie, and Gustav need to still go, but I'm reasonably on board for Max and Lucard running afoul of each other as Max is alone and because Gustav and everybody else are dead.
Yeah.
Season 2. But yeah, I was like, this is a fucked up ending. Like this is cool.
I thought it was fucking cool. I would watch if this show was this, I would take all of that bad shit if it ended every time with him exacting revenge against his enemies. Every time. Every time. I loved it. I would take all the other bullshit. I loved it. The end.
The end.
I don't know what else to say.
Who knows if we've only got 3 episodes left, 1 clip episode, and I think Klaus is back for at least 1. So there's actually only 1 more opportunity for one of these episodes. So we'll find out next week.
Yeah.
Even though the synopsis says it's about a Norman Bates type.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But it also said that this was about an I Love Lucy homage, and it is not.
Yeah.
So,
are you looking at Wikipedia or are you looking at IMDb?
I was looking at IMDb.
Okay. I'm excited about the next episode. It's called Bats in the Attic. I just love this idea of an experimental band. Rene Bonnier is directing.
Is back.
He's directed a few.
By Pascal Bonnier, mayhaps
related.
Maybe. Known for Crazy Moon. What is up?
I've never seen Crazy
Moon. Yes, that's the one by Alan Eastman that I said I liked.
Oh,
the third assistant director on Crazy Moon went on to write an episode of Dracula's series. The Canadian film industry. How interesting. Okay, cool. That means that this guy maybe, directed the poop shots because Kiefer Sutherland takes pictures of poop in Crazy Moon and prints them up on nice paper to weird people out.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch it because this guy named Philip Bedard is credited as hot and steamy schnitzel delivery guy. So I can't wait to see hot and steamy schnitzel delivery boy.
We'll see if he's on Cameo.
Hot and steamy schnitzel. That's exactly what I need in my life.
It's almost seeming like somehow at the end of the season, somebody was like, okay, so this is the stuff you should be doing, but it's still not going to work because you didn't recast the show.
Yeah.
Making fun of Gustav's schnitzel thing, I mean, isn't a bad idea. We'll find out. But yeah, this episode, I don't know. It's a weird one.
It's a weird one because I hated it. And then at the end, I liked it. Like, I liked the kind of sentimentalness of the ending. I love Casablanca, but, they weren't trying, like, in the very first scene, trying to be Bogey.
Right.
But I loved the twist at the end. That was so great that he's just such an asshole. He's not petty, but he's like, I don't know. He was just like,
well, because there's also it's the Casablanca ending that the wife thought she was going to stay with him.
Yeah.
But then he set her free.
Yeah.
To fucking kill her. Like,
it's fucking cool. I loved it so much. I loved it. Okay, well, thank you all for listening. We will see you next week when we are watching episode 19 of Dracula the series, Bats in the Attic. Looking forward to that. See you in television land, Andrew.
See you in television land,
bye-bye.